Good evening, Earthbound Super Series. Tonight we have ourselves a Boogie Percent Quad. On the top, it is Serra versus Lord Taco. On the bottom, Jimothy versus Crimsongreen. I'm
I'm
Leslie
gonna.
Crow. Tonight I'm joined by Daniel RGT. How goes it tonight?
It goes well. I do have to correct you though. It's actually Serra versus Jimothy, and then Lord Taco versus Crimson Green. So we're working vertically tonight.
I'm
So
too used to I'm too used to it being top bottom, not left right.
yeah, we're working vertically. The runners on the top are facing the runners on the bottom, respectively. But I'm doing fantastic tonight. Ready for some quad Earthbound action here on a Tuesday night.
On a Taco Tuesday, as it happens to
Yeah,
be.
Crimson mentioned in the race time I made a mistake racing Lord Taco on a Taco Tuesday. So we'll see. We'll see if Taco gets that Taco Tuesday buff coming into this run. But we're off. We're beginning the run. We get this nice little scrolling cutscene here. Unfortunately, the beginning parts of this game, like many RPGs, a lot of exposition, a lot of fluff. So in terms of speed, stuff to talk about in the speed run, not too much. Um, but we will be getting into the meat and potatoes very shortly. Once we get the spawns turned on, which is about like 2 minutes into the run or so.
Yep, this is all intro stuff.
But right now, so all these runners have been practicing a lot. Some of them are quite new. Some of them have joined the Super Series sort of on a whim. Just hey, there's a nice tournament around. Let me join. This is an easy enough category, and there's no stress or anything like that. Um, but we have some. Sarah has been pushing their time down. Gotten a handful of PBs within the past week or so, and even got a PB earlier today before their race started. They got a 109, I believe 48 was what it was. I can have to check again. Yeah, 109.48, which is sub 110, which is nothing to scoff at. It's a very good time for a Boogie percent. And I
Yep,
think
absolutely.
you had mentioned to me earlier, Crimsongreen not super far off from that sub 110 either. So in both races, we have about sub 110 caliber runners, going here in this first round of the Swiss.
And unfortunately, our sleep got disturbed because something happened up at the hillside. Some say it was a meteorite, some say it was a dragon shout from someone who had too much fast food. We're about to find out. Actually, no, I'm just clowning. The only real difference right now is that Crimsongreen opted to get and equip the cracked bat early. Our other three runners have not done that as of yet. They will be doing that shortly.
Yeah, I haven't. We haven't. I haven't actually looked into whether or not how much of an advantage that gives you to do the crackbat late. Some people find it just more convenient. They'll find it comfier. Um, I'm not sure if Tracy not being in the room when you equip the bat somehow saves time on lag or something like that, um, which would save frames because I think that's the most it would save is some frames here and there. But we see Crimson and Taco and Sarah getting back to their house roughly around the same time. Jimothy a little bit farther behind. I'm noticing Jimothy is doing a lot of cardinal movement. I wonder if their controller does not let them go diagonally, unfortunately.
Yeah, that would be a pretty significant disadvantage for a game like Earthbound, where you can't move diagonally. And as someone who has had controller problems in a Super Series race, albeit Ancient Cave, I know what that's like. It is not fun.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just a thing that he has to deal with just because of whatever his setup is, or if it's like a conscious choice. I refuse to move diagonally. You will never catch me move diagonally. But we're approaching the end of this sort of exposition part. Pokey's at the door. He's knocking annoyingly, and we gotta get our trusty bat and baseball cap on and get ready to start fighting enemies. And the Onet, this meteorite climb hill here There's 3 enemies you can run into, potentially. A snake, crow, or a dog. Ideally, you don't want to fight any of those 3, though. But we'll see if our runners can avoid them moving forward.
There's one thing our runners cannot avoid right now is a phone call.
Yeah, the phone dad checking in, making sure you know that when you kill enemies, he's gonna put money in your bank account, and you can withdraw that money. Which I always thought was a nice little neat mechanic. Instead of them enemies just happening to have money on them, your dad provides the money for beating up enemies.
It's certainly a departure because earlier RPGs such as Dragon Warrior, you got that gold right then and there.
Yeah, and we see 3 of the runners here going on the hill. Crimson getting 2 crows approaching this section there. You see Serra and lordtaco. They're trying to get through this first bend here. This spawn plate is particularly annoying. You don't really want a dog. You want a crow or a snake. A snake you can stutter step, and a crow you can kind of use their movement to your advantage. And we're seeing Serra. They're having to use a stutter step there, and that crow's gonna get stuck on that tree. Oh, but he swings over. Don't think Serra was expecting that.
Crows can do that without warning.
Yeah, in general, you don't want to stay. You want to stay just. You don't want to get directly parallel to them. You want to be just a tiny bit under them. I think Serra, maybe they just moved a little bit too high there, and the crow swung over. But Serra and Taco both getting into a crow fight. That means they'll be level 3 after Starman, which changes the Pogo Punk fight a little bit. I see Crimsongreen, the first one to get to the top of the hill. You know, all runners and Jimothy now, you know, despite not being able to move diagonally, getting to the top of the hill before Serra. But both Serra and lordtaco not far behind. This Starman fight could help equalize any advantage the runners on the bottom have versus their top counterparts currently. But we got to listen to Buzz talk for a little bit first. I didn't notice that Crimsongreen picked up. We're going to see when Crimson passes this present. They did pick up the bread roll already. All right, cool. So that bread roll helps make the arcade a lot safer, and might help prevent hamburger usage early on that you want to avoid using as much as possible. That way, you don't have to buy as many hamburgers when you go hamburger shopping if you do choose to do that. And you see a guard on the first turn. That's what you want from Starman. Guard is the fastest thing you can do. The next fastest thing being a freeze. And the slowest thing you can do is a fire beta. And a fire alpha is slightly faster than a fire beta. But just barely. The added text of it having to hit everyone's shield and it getting absorbed loses you a chunk of time, unfortunately. Yeah, and Buzz not hitting high enough. So it's going to be a 3 cycle for Crimson here. Buzz, you know, Starman Jr. has 200 HP. You want Buzz to hit for about 100 on both turns, ideally. But it looked like that first turn, Buzz hit for about 66. Not quite enough to make that 2 cycle.
Smash hammered it home.
Absolutely. Another smash from lordtaco as well. We're actually seeing a lot of guards here and a lot of smashes all over the place. That was a Buzz smash though, which is 150, which is fantastic. That means Buzz can do his regular attack, which is the weaker of his 2 attacks, and you might still 2 cycle Starman, even with a guard if you're lucky. But yeah, Serra getting the 2 cycle. I think the Taco got the 2 cycle as well. So that's going to help Taco gain some time here in Crimson. Of course, Onet is so dangerous and such an easy place where you can just lose big pockets of time before you know it. Just as we're about to finish up Buzz's last words here on Crimsongreen, we're going to be seeing a daytime Onet. Crimson and all the runners here should be going to the treehouse, picking up a Mr. Baseball cap, which we're going to sell for some extra money to buy a cheap bracelet. So helps get us some extra defense for the arcade section, and also the just the rest of Onet in general. Ends up being slightly more defense than just the one extra defense that having a Mr. Baseball cap will give you compared to a regular baseball cap.
Jimothy's through.
Yeah, so finally all runners here through getting through Starman. And this is that Mr. Baseball cap I was talking about. A common thing you might see runners do here is equip it. This gives you the added benefit of when you buy the baseball cap from the drugstore, the vendor offers to buy off the previous equipment you had. And even though it's a better piece of equipment, he still offers it. So he'll pay you the $99 for it, which helps speed up having to go to the sell menu and then selecting the Mr. Baseball cap and all that jazz.
Because menuing in this game takes a lot of time.
Yeah, you can get pretty good at it, but the thing is, the way the game is, at least in the English version, the more items you have in your inventory and stuff like that, the more time it takes for the game to load. So, it doesn't seem like it should add up that much time, but when you have a full inventory, it's really noticeable. And you end up losing a lot of time when you're trying to navigate through your inventory that way. Now Crimsongreen going down to this first Pogo Punk. We're going to be fighting this Pogo Punk for a couple reasons. One, for EXP, but also they have a 100% chance to drop a hamburger, which we want. We want them burgers.
Yep. And not just because Homer Simpson says, burgers. They're actually your best healing item at this point in the game.
Yeah, by like a pretty decent, or at least not a decent amount. It's like, at least in Onet, it's the best thing you can get. Until, in Tucson you can get like a croissant, which is more. I actually don't know if the bakery sells croissants in Onet. Oh no, this shark went hunting. And it's a skate punk too. Skate punk is actually kind of a bad fight. Shredding fiercely on a skateboard do be hurting. But the extra EXP actually might help out moving forward. No 1 in a 128 drop, unfortunately. No pizza.
Yeah, because that 1 in 128 drop would have been a pizza, which would have been the absolute best thing you could have gotten at this point in the game.
Yeah, actually, yes. Pizza is crazy to get in Onet. But moving on to the second Pogo Punk, and Taco also, I don't know, it looks like they're on the second Pogo Punk based on their HP. So both these runners roughly about equal now. That extra skate punk fight. Oh, never mind. I'm so wrong. I'm so wrong, everybody. Y'all, it's hard to keep up with the quad. Serra here on the Yes Man Jr., which is the last fight before you get into the Frank and Frankenstein section. So Serra going to be the first one getting to Frank and Frankenstein. Leslie, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of what the general strat and game plan is for Frank and Frankenstein?
First and foremost, what you want Frank to do, you want him to do things such as come out swinging or say something nasty. Because if he brandishes a knife, you're going to lose roughly half your health and be forced to use a healing item. When you should really be swinging. But if you can't swing because you have to heal, well, you do what you gotta do. Now, Serra was in a dangerous spot there, but was able to get the heal off because Frank opted to swing instead. And, ooh, just like this, Crimsongreen also threw.
Yeah, but Taco actually took...
Now, Frankenstein Mark II. This fight switches up. burst of steam, attack, rinse, repeat, and Taco takes a death. You hate to see it.
Yeah, Taco actually got brandished for a knife for 27 damage, which is like on the highest end that Frank can do. Means you you have a low defense on top of just some bad luck. And there was just nothing Taco could do in that situation. They just kind of were dealt a checkmate situation. But Serra getting through Frankenstein with a nice little smash at the end, and they're the first one through, with Crimson not far behind. Fortunately, those two runners not racing each other, but you know we have two runners in both races now, getting through the Frank and Frankenstein fight. You see Serra walking into the arcade and back out towards Frank. This triggers just a little event which lets Frank give you a full heal, which is nice coming into this giant step section. That way you have full health and full psychic points for life ups and stuff like that.
We're going to need it coming up. Also, quick note on the fight against Frankenstein Mark II is that its worst attack is called Tore Into You. That does an insane amount of damage, especially for the early part of the game.
Yeah, it could do up to like 34 damage, something, you know, in that range. At the very least, Frankenstein attacks every other turn, and will always on the first turn blow a burst of steam. So you have the advantage of kind of knowing when the hits are coming. You just don't always know which, you know, how much it's going to hit for. Is it going to be the weaker or the stronger attack?
And honestly, it's best to be prepared for both.
Now, Lord Taco going back into Frank. Meanwhile, Serra and Crimsongreen just doing some little story triggers. I think they will likely both buy burgers here at the burger shop, which is to help prepare for the Titanic ant fight. But I do want to see if Taco is able to get through this Frank round 2 sequence.
Oh, that was close. That knife brandish took 23 of 24 HP off. Taco almost took another death.
Yeah, 24 HP though. You know, the advantage is that when you're in the 24 HP range,
Oh.
you can mash out a heal in time, even if it does kill you, as long as your mashing is quick enough. And Jimothy now also taking a Frank death.
Jimothy wasn't in that range. He was around 16. He pulls out the knife, and that's all she wrote on that attempt.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Now Taco looking a lot safer here for this Frankenstein fight. Frankenstein being actually kind of nice and just doing the weak hits. Not a lot of tears into you, just a lot of throwing their punches with the big old gloves. And now Taco threw Frankenstein now as well. So, you know, despite taking a death to Frank early on, Taco's definitely not out of this race. There's still a good chunk of a race to go. Onett, Titanic Ant is definitely the meanest part of Onett, like by a lot. So this section that Serra and Crimson are in right now is really often the determining factor of like how good your Onett is, because you can lose just minutes. Even if Ant doesn't kill you, if your slug grind isn't good, which is what they're doing right now. They're looking for slugs to grind some levels on right now. If the slug grind is just not going your way, you can just lose minutes before you know it.
Also, there's a 1 in 128 chance of a slug dropping a bomb, which would be very powerful at this stage of the game.
Yeah, it's bombs do quite a bit of damage. It won't be able to one-shot Titanic Ant, but it has the advantage of being a lot of damage that you can do without the need of psychic points. Some runners love to see a bomb. Some runners see a bomb and they think it's a bad omen. I have seen that. Because there's times where I've seen runners get 2 bombs and then still die to Titanic Ant. That's how mean Titanic Ant is, by the way. Where you have two.
I think I saw that in last year's Boogey % tournament with JSR.
Yeah, so it's just like bombs can be. It's one of those things where you get a bomb and someone might be like, "Oh, I'm marked for death now." Like that's just what that means. Jimothy here getting into a lot of extra shark fights here before trying to get back into Frankenstein. I mean, the extra XP is gonna be nice. They might actually just be level 5 before coming into Frank, which does make Frank a lot easier. Yep, they're going to be level
Now you
5. So
just
they
got
get...
level 5 right now. That'll help.
Yeah, it actually it's going to help considerably. Jimothy, I think, not taking the time to decide what to do. They're at 40 HP. You definitely still need to heal before this fight. But, 60, 15, that should be more than enough to go into this Frank fight and hope for the best. It does, I wonder if they're still going to heal every turn. I think I actually haven't fought Frank at level 5 in a long time. I would still heal. Yeah, they'll die if he brandishes another knife.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
But
it worked
instead
out.
he says something nasty.
It worked out. Oh, Frank dodged quickly. Yeah, this is looking so spooky though. Okay, Frank is down. We still got to get through Frankenstein, but 10 psychic points is a lot of psychic points. Normally, you usually have about 5. Because usually you end up using all your psychic points on Frank because he just hits you often, and you have to heal every time Frank hits you because, as we've seen already, Frank will kill you. Nice crit. Oh, okay. It wasn't a high roll, so they're good. And I think with this, Jimothy should be able to get through this Frankenstein fight finally. Although Ness is just being the worst. It's just being the worst.
Fatal
Missing.
hit, but good thing he had life up queued up, or else that would have been ball game.
One more hit. I think the next hit should kill Frankenstein. Absolutely. Finally, Jimothy also threw Frankenstein. So Jimothy also now going to pick up the key to the shack, and then go about on their slug grind. We haven't talked about the slug grind too much. They have to grind for about 22 slugs to hit level 8. It might be a little bit different for Jimothy, considering Jimothy has a lot of extra EXP from fighting so many sharks. But you basically just have to fight slugs until you're level 8. Optimally, that would be 22 slugs. It looks like Serra, they have enough slugs to either go to the top and leave, or go to the top and fight a 6-pack, which would end up being exactly enough to be 22 slugs. But it doesn't seem like they're respawning hoping for lag, so it looks like they are just level 8 and are trying to get to Titanic Ant now.
Yeah, I can confirm Serra did hit level 8.
23 offense. So you see Serra, they're checking their offense there, because if you have 24 offense, it means you can auto instant kill single Antoid fights. With 23 though, even if it's a single Antoid fight, you'll get into like the real battle. So that's why you see Serra stutter stepping past these Antoids. It's still just faster to stutter step past them. So if you're confident in your stuttering ability, it's something you should probably try and go for. But stuttering is difficult, and I don't blame anyone for wanting to just take the easy. It's a small time difference. It's not like significant time loss to take the auto kill. Plus you get a little extra experience, which might come in handy. It usually doesn't, but it could. And here we got the Titanic Ant fight. Titanic Ant opening with the stronger of his 2 attacks.
Starts by getting a 69 hit on the Titanic Ant. Nice.
Nice. No, Titanic Ant. So 23 is mashable. 69, 65. Titanic Ant has 235 HP. So roughly about half of their HP is gone now. And Ness just missing. Just missing over and over again.
This is bad RNG at this point.
Yeah, the outspeed definitely not helping either. Another miss. This is still winnable, but it is getting dicier. Alright, shield makes it slower. You don't want to see it, but at the very least you're not taking damage. I still think it's like 2 or 3 turns before Ant goes down, especially with the shield. But at the Ant finally starting to let up on the aggression. I say that, and then Serra got hit.
Meanwhile, Green in a bit of a pickle, as those black Antoids can call for help.
Yeah, they
That has
really did.
happened a couple of times. So now Green is in a bad spot, but Sarah gets out of a tight spot against Titanic Ant. Moving on.
Yeah, Sarah, they got to be breathing a sigh of relief. The start of that fight looked real spooky. And definitely Crimson, at this point, if you survive this turn, oh, you're asleep too? This is the worst. This is just, you gotta run. You gotta cut your losses. The EXP is just not, you gotta get out of here. I agree 100%.
Sometimes it's better to run away when a fight gets out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, you think like, maybe I can win this. At the very least, I get the EXP out of it. I'm not sure that Crimson is level 8. I mean, they could be, but uh, it's definitely a situation where you will die, and you don't want to die.
Now that just
And
got
yeah,
him to level 8.
yes. So Crimson now going to be making their way towards Titanic Ant. Sarah picking up the free burger there and that little present. And Taco, I think, has to be approaching the end of his level 8 grind here. Um, and he does, and he has 25 offense. And don't ask me how I know that. But he has 25 offense. He might check his offense here just in case he knows, but he can auto kill single black Antoids if he does get into that fight.
Crimson did just get one such auto kill.
Yeah, so at least 24 offense on Crimson's side. And we'll see how the Titanic Ant fight goes for him. He's just starting it right now as Taco makes his way towards Titanic Ant. So you want to see these rockets hit for high damage. Nothing above, nothing higher than 69 so far. We've got a 69, a 65, and a 66.
66 and an 86.
86.
There we go.
Oh, we put the 6 in the other digit slot. And this ant, despite being in a spooky HP situation, there's no shield, and they've gotten a lot of good hits. This defense down is great, so it's either this hit or the next hit that's going to end it. Oh, definitely this one with the crit.
No doubt about it. With a very smashing authority.
Now we see Serra starting the cop sequence. You have to fight 4 cops and Captain Strong. So in total, there's 5 fights here. It's annoying because these cops can crushing chop, which does a chunk of damage. That crit on the 3rd turn, while you see a crit and you go, yay, it's like they're gonna die to the normal hit anyway. So to some runners it feels insulting. But getting through the fight is what matters. And we're going to see a heal here using the life up because they're low enough HP. They want to use a life up so they get to max HP from the heal. And Serra actually having a really clean second cop. And we got a hamburger drop. 1 in 16 chance for that to happen, but always welcome to see. And
Absolutely.
now Lord Taco now approaching Titanic Ant. I want to see the rockin' damage. 90 damage, that's on the higher end.
That's on the end you want to see.
Yeah, the max it can do is 120, but it's very, very rare. 94, so...
94?
Oh, he's dead. That was a perfect ant fight.
Ow! You love to see it.
Yeah, Taco gotta be happy with that ant fight. It could not have gone any better.
Yeah. You love to see an ant fight that goes that well when you're playing this game.
Oh, I hate him so much. I hate Titanic Ant.
I think we all do.
Yeah, and it's one thing that unifies runners more than anything is we can all agree that we are all against Titanic Ant, and we hate that piece of crap. And Serra coming to the Captain Strong fight. So the idea here is you want to just use two Rockins, which will kill him more often than not. Serra playing it safe, which I agree with, because we've seen Rockin miss here against Captain Strong before, and it can just ruin your day, and it's a big time loss to die to Captain Strong. But the double Rockin goes off without a hitch, and Serra with a 29-minute on net, sub 30, is always what you want to see, and getting in a tournament race, you got to feel good about that.
Oh, no doubt about that.
Crimson getting through the first cop, relatively unscathed. They're probably going to have to heal on the first turn here, but Serra had to do no different. Jimothy getting into some slug fights here. They're still, I believe, trying to get to level 8, it looks like. Yeah,
Crimson
Hunter
had
putting it
no
in the
choice
chat.
but to take a life up there.
Oh, you can use this. Yeah, very nicely done. So you can use the trees to your advantage. If you can get behind a tree in time, you can get the mushroom stuck. And very well done by Serra, but the ninja shroom was secretly there, and now we got a double rambling evil mushroom. And this is, the outspeed is what you want to see, but I would imagine you just try and run at this point. Yeah. It's very, very low percent chance to run. We're in like the 20s to 30% chance to run here. That is not a burger. That's not a burger. We equip in the
That's
baseball
the
cap.
menu.
Yeah, you listen. We tighten the baseball cap. We turn it backwards, and then we run away.
You mean tighten it up and turn it backwards, just like Ash Ketchum before he catches a Pokemon?
Yeah, exactly. You see, Serra has a mushroom on their head now. If you leave this unattended, it will start rotating your controls by 90 degrees. Which can get really annoying. So we talked to this dude. It is thankfully a status element that the game pays you to heal. You get $50 for having a mushroom on your head and going to that guy. Unfortunately, it's a small time loss to do that, but at least they didn't die.
Nice cityscape, Crimson. Just saying.
And we got hit by what, the first ad of the quad.
Second ad of the quad.
It happened to us a couple times yesterday. Taco now, I don't know if they're on the first cop or the second one. I'd imagine the second one based on their psychic points. I'm wrong, it's the
It
third
was
one.
number 3.
Which is, I mean, that's actually better to see. You don't want to have 17 psychic points at the second cop. The life up there. Outspeed is unfortunate, but at the very least, the cop is not hidden with crush and chops. Just doing the weak attack 3 times in a row, but Ness missing like a jerk. And Taco playing that really risky. If they had not outsped there, there's no way they would really survive Captain Strong if he hit on the first turn anyway. Look at all those burgers Taco has.
Oh, bad luck for Jimothy. Hit with Magnet, and one of the Antoids did not go down. So now he's going to have to improvise here and bash out some Antoids, because those Antoids will life up Titanic Ant, making this fight extremely difficult.
Yeah, they can technically target themselves or the other Antoid. And you know, in the case of Titanic Ant, sometimes he'll put the shield on an Antoid instead of himself. But they will cast life up every turn. Those Antoids are different Antoids than the ones you fought earlier. They're not going to hit you, but they will just life up every single turn. And the crit is there's nothing you can do about it. Crit is basically a checkmate situation half the time. And Jimothy taking the death to Titanic Ant. This is why we hate Titanic Ant. That right there.
Just like how I hate pre-roll ads for Twitch during match commentary, because then your commentary flow gets disrupted. Hey, Twitch, haven't you all ever heard of you don't mess with a good commentator and their flow? Just like a hit rapper. Don't mess with their flow. Just
Yeah,
saying.
stop messing with Leslie's flow. I'm with you. I'm with you on this. So Serra potentially trying to see if they can sneak by that UFO. It is possible, depending on where that UFO would have gotten stuck. But they make the smart choice and despawn it. Definitely going to do so with this one as well. There's just no way you can get past it in this particular narrow passageway. And something we didn't touch on, we see Lord Taco saving here in the department store. I imagine that Serra and Crimson both did the same thing. We're setting the reason that we're saving here in the department store is not for safety. We're setting up for a death warp that we'll be doing later in the run. So we have more of the run to go, and there's a certain section, and when we're done with it, we need to get back to Tucson. So we make that save so that we can death warp back here later. And thankfully, the game saves all progress that's happened. When you've even when you die, you just have to respawn back at the last place where you saved, which we get to use to our advantage. And Serra, there's not enough room to walk by that mobile sprout there. Going to take this mushroom mobile sprout fight. And it is, yeah, just going to rock in it, which I think is the right play. It's not going to die from the 54 there, but didn't get matrumized. So just an unfortunate time waste there, but they get a nice little EXP boost from it. They hit level 11 a little bit earlier than they would, which might make the shack fight a little bit safer. Shack fight is a fight coming up later on. Jimothy fighting some slugs here, trying to make their way back to Titanic Gate. Meanwhile, Serra, Taco, and Crimson, they're all completing this sort of they're getting what's called the pencil eraser. The way you have to do to get that is you have to load this iron pencil, which we're not going to see until a little bit on Serra's screen here, because you can actually load it into memory without even walking all the way to put it on screen. Crimson does walk far enough that you saw a little bit of it there, but you don't technically need to walk that far. You just need to walk. There's certain runners who have a certain visual cue they use. And then that's the story trigger they need to hit. Yeah, these caves to Peaceful Rest Valley are really obnoxious. It is so narrow that you can't really avoid any enemies there, so you have to despawn them. And when you walk in like this and there's an enemy too close to the door that you can't walk far away enough to despawn, you have to reload the room, which is actually a lot slower than, having to just walk a little bit away and then come back. And unfortunately, that time adds up when they keep on spawning over and over again. Serra with some nice UFO dodges here, using the UFO's weird movement pattern to their advantage. And then we're going to erase this pencil. So, Peaceful Rest Valley, despite its name, not very peaceful.
Level 9 there will help Jimothy in this fight against Titanic Ant.
Absolutely. A big safety some runners did in the past was to grind to level 9. Gives you 30 psychic points, which means even in the case of what happened to Jimothy earlier, which was to just get magneted right out the gate, and then you denied your double rockin', you have the extra psychic points. But they were forced to use a life up because of some unfortunate battles they took beforehand.
That 68 doesn't do him any favors.
No, and Serra in a really tough spot here. That sprout is not going to go
Ooh,
away.
6. Ugh, those rolls were rough.
Yeah. Okay, the shield on the turn where they would have died had he hit. Love to see Jimothy get through this.
Worth noting that when a shield goes up, a smash attack destroys it.
Yeah, smash attack instantly destroys a shield, regardless of how strong the shield is. Because you can strengthen your shield by multiply applying it, which you see Titanic doing. So, you know, instead of the three hits it would take to destroy, it takes like 5 hits and stuff like that. But a smash can undo all that. And Serra with a nice skip sandwich usage there. I like that a lot. Gonna try it again. Not enough space though. You maybe had to walk around the right side of that little pond to maybe get that to work. But Territorial Oak, not that scary. Titanic Ant has crit Jimothy so many times.
And yet, somehow, Jimothy survives that and gets to level 10.
I'm so thankful because Titanic Ant was making it his life's mission to ruin Jimothy's day. So Serra here going to be coming around this bend here, and this is the last little section. There's like one more spawn plate they have to worry about. It is empty though, so able to enter now into a happy village. And we're going to be there's going to be a scripted fight here that Sarah's going to have to be dealing with, called the Shack Fight, which with some unfortunate luck can get out of hand, but you know, picking up these fresh eggs for safety, which are free, you can pay what you want, so we're paying nothing.
Upgrading offense here. Good call.
Yeah, upgrading the offense is pretty important, mostly for Carpenter, just because Carpenter, you rely on lightning reflex, but the extra damage from the extra offense might be the thing that makes the biggest difference, because Carpenter heals himself every about, he heals himself on the second turn, and then it's the 6th, 8th turn, so every 6 turns thereafter, so 2nd, 8th, so on and so forth. So you need to keep, the idea is you need to keep the DPS up, because you got to get through those heals. And Crimson actually the first to the Shack Fight between all the racers, but Serra very close behind. Unfortunately, they are not racing. But it is nice to see a nice little tie between these two runners, nonetheless. Ooh, Taco getting red swirled by a UFO. So they should be able to get through this fight. The Rockin' might miss, actually, because it's got real fast. Yeah. So Rockin's chance to miss is based on the enemy's speed. So faster enemies actually have a higher chance to resist Rockin'. So I don't like to Rockin' the UFOs, I just like to bash them out, but technically a Rockin' would be the optimal thing to do if it were to hit. So I don't blame Taco for going for it.
Yeah, spiteful crows can cause the same problem as they did for Crimson.
I'm sorry, Taco, for cursing you.
And I agree with Attack Slug. UFO, unidentified object. I love it.
Farts. All right, so Crimson gonna be picking up this this croissant here. Serra picking up more fresh eggs. Can never have enough eggs in these trying times.
Top fight for Jimothy.
Yeah, and Jimothy, a lot of burgers I saw there. Although I didn't, the cookie scares me. An accidental defend, Oh, the outspeed is perfect. Outspeed is what you want to see. For once, Ness, you want to see the outspeed. And Serra going for just a raw rocket on this solo cultist fight. Not normally what you see. Normally people kind of want the cultist to hit them a little bit because it might help set up for the death work better if you get a good carpainter. But in a boogie percent race scenario, having the more health for a carpainter, I definitely don't blame you for wanting that safety, even if it might make your death work slightly worse.
And by saying yes, Carpainter says, rest in power, Gilbert Godfrey.
Such a good clip. Wow, what a low lightning reflect roll on Crimson's side. It reflected for like 64 damage. I think that's the lowest I've ever seen it reflect for.
That has to be towards the bottom of the range, because I believe Crashing Boom Bang is based off Thunder Beta.
Well, Thunders all do like the same amount of damage, I'm pretty sure. It's just the different strengths determine how many lightning bolts get shot. So it is just a Thunder Beta in that it shoots 2, but it can do up to like 170 on Carpainter. Like the Manip has one hit for like 160 or 170 or something like that for like the 80% glitchless. So the range is humongous apparently because 60 something is insanely low. And yeah, Jimothy is out of own net, getting through Captain Strong, finally going to be moving on into Tucson. And both Serra and Crimson getting through their Carpainter fights. I didn't get to see their HPs for the death work, but no matter what it is, you will eventually die. It just, you know, how much time will you lose in the process? Taco looks like they're hesitant to use their last psychic points for an additional rockin'. I get the idea, but in the case of you just gotta get through these cultists, in my opinion. But it may end up being the determining factor to make their Carpainter like super sick. So it would just be, it's just a choice they're making that they're hoping is going to pay off. And if it does, it's actually, you know, it was the smarter decision, obviously. It just comes down to, are you going to get the luck, you know? All right, so chat telling me they're both about 60 HP, which is around like the average HP you might end up at. You can definitely get Nest killed in 2 hits at 60. Technically 1. 60 is one-shottable. That mole also has a pretty ridiculous range for damage. You see Serra here getting into the mole fight. Crimson getting into a crow fight, which is not what you want to see.
Well, all the crow fight does is push Paula a little closer to a level up.
Yeah, she's 1 XP away from a level up now. She needs 4 XP just like Nest does at level 1 to get that first level.
Are you sure about that? Because I remember it being 8.
It could be 8. You know what? That might be a good point that they scale them differently just based on the fact that you have 2 people in your party all of a sudden. Oh, Crimson just, as they're going to walk back, or are they going for UFO death work? So UFO death work, you lose extra time walking over here, but you're hoping for a UFO and a whirling robo to spawn. And they're way more aggressive.
Might also be trying to pick up the cup of life noodles as well. Which would actually revive Paul a quick snap like that. If that's necessary, of course.
Yeah, the mobile sprout, not really what you want to try and death warp off of. And I think Crimson is realizing that because the mobile sprout is just... So mobile sprout can hit you, but he also can do magnet and life up. There's a lot of things that the mobile sprout can do that don't hit you. And it doesn't hit for that hard, even when it does hit. which is why, like, when you go for this, you really are banking on the UFO, at least a UFO, because the UFO is really aggressive and is a jerk.
There is that rare chance of a smash from a mobile sprout.
I think it's possible, yeah. Some attacks cannot crit, but I don't believe Mobile Sprout is one of the attacks. Like, for example, Carpainter will never crit you. He just isn't capable. But Taco having a pretty...
HP for Taco.
Yeah, we'll see what they get from the... they didn't even get a level up. So 36 HP, fantastic HP for a Death Warp. So definitely probably going to be seeing a Mole Death Warp. And finally, Crimson getting a Death Warp off a tree and 2 sprouts.
Yeah, the strat there, take out the tree first, and then when it bursts into flames, it takes all your health away.
Yeah, not a bad strat now that I think about it. It's not something I had ever considered, of taking a tree and a sprout and then just killing the tree and just letting the explosion kill you. Cranky Lady trying to get to Serra, but artfully dodged.
Yeah, Cranky Lady tripped over a tree root.
Chad being a jerk. Chad blocking everything. Chad is the worst. Chad is that blonde-haired guy.
Yeah, Chad's basically doing what the NPCs would do in Dragon Warrior, blocking your path.
It's just getting
much to the chagrin of many a runner in that community's randomizer.
Just get out of my way, please. Chad versus Janet, who's worse? So Janet is the blonde-haired woman in front of the cultist HQ. I think Janet is worse by like a lot. But Chad is still very annoying. But I think Janet is the worst because there can be a cultist spawn and like you can't get inside and you have to fight the cultist now. Because Janet was like, well, I'm blocking the door. You can't come in. No entry. Yeah, Serra in chat saying, Chad, why? Alright, Taco here on their Mole Death Warp. And the Mole, oh, perfect Mole Death Warp here. Literally could not have gone better. Oh, Chad's striking for both. Chad's just a problem. Yeah, you cannot give the water bills to the... That person's not interested in $10,000.
Yeah, they can't be bribed like that.
Yeah, chat mentioning Taco can still catch up. Absolutely. Taco actually gained a lot of time with that Mole Death Warp on Crimson, and they're not very far behind now. So this is definitely still very winnable for Taco. Oh, Taco looking for an ATM. Though. Yeah, does not looking for an ATM in the hospital. There are no ATMs in any hospital in this game.
Which is too bad because that'd be very beneficial for like Ancient Cave rando. Just saying.
It would be so nice.
I mean, that is one reason why, personally looking at this, I'd consider grabbing the cup of life noodles so that if you don't have enough money, you can just pop the cup of life noodles, and she's revived full HP.
Yeah, so the downside of getting the cup of life noodles is that it is very dangerous to do so. And, we saw a runner yesterday go for that cup of life noodles and die trying to get it. So it is one of those high risk, high reward. Well, not even high reward. High risk, there is a reward. So it's not... The reward isn't always there, but in Earthbound, sometimes you gotta take what you can get, and especially in a race, when you're trying to catch up, you're trying to go for them big plays.
big play there was to not die.
Yeah, Jimothy now getting into a red swirl by 2 mobile sprouts. Peaceful Rest Valley, it's very dangerous. So it's such narrow pathways all across. So when enemies spawn your way, there's not a lot of opportunity for like outplaying them with your movement and stuff like that. You really just have to despawn and hope for the best. And there's often you can just get pincered. But able to get away from the fight.
We've got Serra entering threed, first of our 4 runners tonight to enter the final area of this run. At least where the goal is. But we still got some stuff to do to get there.
Yeah, there's still about 12 to 15 minutes left in the run, roughly, depending on luck. But Serra has to hit a particular story trigger here in the graveyard. Graveyard can be kind of dangerous. There's a lot of spawn plates and a lot of enemies you just really don't want to fight because you just don't have the health or equipment to really deal with them. And there they are. You saw them in their full glory, just waiting in the graveyard. But they're going to use that.
Enemies, you just hang up on the grave.
Yeah, exactly. Use that to your advantage. The main thing to avoid while up here are these flies, and you saw one, kind of what is happening on Crimson. Sorry, I got blindsided by that. It's not ready for a default dance.
Jimothy does go for the cup of life noodles.
Oh man, I have been prepared. There's no way. Yeah, and so yeah, I mentioned this. Jimothy going for the life noodles. The spawns are scary. Oh no, I think they just got lost. They're not going for the life noodles anymore.
Sarah's going to get a lot of levels for Paula as a result of that one encounter, even though it was one enemy.
Yeah, so the advantage to that is they're going to have PSI Fire for Boogey Tent, which makes Boogey Tent a little bit safer at the end. It means that Jeff can potentially die or miss with 4 out of the 5 bottle rockets that a big bottle rocket shoots, and you can still finish the fight, which is very, very nice to have. This Serra here.
Showtime for Taco.
Yeah, and Serra gonna get captured by these zombies, while Crimson is gonna hit the same story trigger that Serra just hit. Crimson having a great graveyard right now.
That graveyard is rather interesting in Ancient Cave Rando, because the way that Rando works is that the game's split up into 9 floors. That back entrance could come from another floor completely because you can't access it. So you could wind up getting some dangerous enemies in that graveyard as a result, but at the same time, that one present that's in that graveyard could be something really good from that floor. Why it rolls like that, I don't know. But it's fun to take advantage of. Yeah, it just is, exactly.
Now both Serra and Crimson are going to be starting the winter sequence here, so they're not going to be playing as Ness anymore. We're going to be playing as Jeff. And this winter section is, I mean, everything's been a lot of RNG so far, but there's, there's some fights where it's just like, I really hope this goes well, because you can just have the protoplasm hit you 3 times in a row, and you'll just die.
Jimothy's shack fight underway.
Yeah, making the decision to Rockin' again, I agree with that. Has a high chance to miss the Crow. Like I said, Rockin's base chance to miss is based on the enemy speed. Crow has 77 speed, so misses quite often against it. But this time it did hit. So Jimothy able to get through that shock fight relatively unharmed. Taking the little bit of damage they did is not a big deal, especially because they have some extra levels from some unfortunate Onet circumstances and stuff like that.
Unfortunately, our friend Maxwell from Maxwell Labs here gives us a key that is slightly bent and won't fit into the keyhole as a result. So now, instead, Jeff turns that in, gets the bad key machine, and now will be able to get a couple things.
Yeah, I keep pointing in the chat, dropping the spray can in Boogey, which so you can drop it in Boogey and it saves on a text box. The advantage of keeping it in Boogey is that you can sell it and then you can buy extra bottle rockets before Boogie Tent if you want for some added safety. A lot of runners feel that the big bottle rocket plus single bottle rocket is enough safety as it is. So I think those runners tend to drop the spray can in favor of eliminating the extra text box from it. Especially for Serra, who has PSI Fire, I would definitely agree with that. Because they have the added safety from that now as well. And now Jimothy going to be entering the car painter fight. While Taco getting into a triple fly fight. It's unfortunate. It's a scary fight.
Yeah. Especially without any psychic points, and your odds of running are not good at all.
It's better than you think. Flies aren't as fast as ghosts, for example. So you can technically run away first turn from flies. It is possible. While it would not be possible to run away first turn from a ghost, based on the math. But they're still fast enough that it's unlikely. We get a weird green swirl from Crimson, which on the dog, which is actually welcome because they get a level from this. Unfortunately, did not get the 50-50 bread roll drop, but the extra HP, I think they got just 1 HP, but that can make the difference on that first proto fight.
In terms of levels, not the best level to get.
Yeah, you don't get any like major stats from that first level with Jeff. He gets the level he gets some stats at is the next level. And ooh, Jimothy almost died, but he just killed him. And now the death warp setup is immaculate. Yeah, it's
dream. Let's go.
It is an immaculate death warp setup. 4 HP. This means so Jimothy seems like and this is with respect to Jimothy. I hope Jimothy doesn't get mad. Jimothy seems like they've picked up the run at least fairly recently, maybe just for the tournament. While Crimsongreen's Twitch stream gives us an ad. When you have 4 HP, it means you can defend against the mole, and it can still kill you, which saves on text. I'm not sure Jimothy knows that, but it is even with 4 HP, it's just a perfect number. It's so low. It's so perfect.
So if in the event before Paula and Ness get captured, you get into a situation where you die in 3'd, your start point is where the Runaway 5 tour bus dropped you off. And when you do the sequence to go up to the graveyard and then get kidnapped, you automatically revive.
Crimson mentioning in the chat, we couldn't see it, unfortunately, Crimson, because the Twitch ad decided that it was more important than the service you have provided for us. But you did talk to the zombie lady, which is something you can do. But she has no text associated with her, so it just says no problem here. But she turns towards you, so it's always fun to do. They're here at the first proto fight. It was looking a little spooky, but it looks like it's going to work out here. As long as this hits, yes. All right, Sarah gonna be trying to pull this duck down to set up a nice duck skip. The duck is really far to the right. Yeah, they're just cutting their losses. They're saying it's gonna take too long to hope that this duck goes where I want, so we're just gonna fight the duck, which is, I think, a fair decision to me. There's some runners who will
It
keep
is.
at it, and it's debatable whether or not at that point it saves time. But it also feels so nice to get duck skip. So even if you lose time and you get duck skip, it's more of like a message to the duck more than anything.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Jimothy, two spiteful crows, not the best of fights.
um, Not the best. They have 4 HP. This is something they can do. A crow death warp is actually a real possibility here, and I'm for it. Although they need to not defend as well.
The crows need to not just stand there smiling like fools.
Yeah,
They need to actually do what
I'm
they're
down
doing
for a
now
crow
and
death warp
attack.
in tournament. I'm down for a crow death warp in the middle of the tournament. I actually think this is sick. Come on, man, just hit him one more time. He's got 2 HP.
Now 2 HP in a dream. And the crow failed to steal.
All right, one hit. Oh, okay, come on, crow, please. I'm begging you, crow. I'm begging you. Yes, a crow death warp
It's
in
a
the
crow death
tournament.
warp. Just not what I was expecting, but
Crow
there you
death
go.
warp. I'm so happy. We've memed about the crow death warp for so long, and I'm not sure I can name a runner who's done it, but I can now.
We can, and I think it's fitting if somebody clips that.
Unfortunately, instantly getting into a hippie fight. Right into.
Well, the plus with the hippie fight is you get some really good music. The minus is Paula gets taken out. Oh
Yeah,
my
that.
goodness, what is this RNG?
Yeah, unfortunately, Paula has to be alive, so we're gonna have to withdraw some money and go to the hospital.
He had the setup for the revival quick. Unfortunately, the game pulled a rubber band and said no.
Very rude.
I don't think y'all would appreciate if that sound was played, so I'm not going to. Time
But
and place, this ain't it.
Sarah here actually able to get through Palm Cave, I think, relatively easily. Just nothing too crazy in either favor, but getting through unscathed and without too much hassle is what you want to see. And Crimson here in the second room, and they're finishing up near here as well. And there's just one more spawn for Sarah to deal with before they enter the Skyrunner, which is the last cutscene before having to fight the Boogey tent.
And the stutters from Crimson using the gift box to get around to Rowdy Mice, really good.
Yeah, stutter stepping is not something that's very easy, but very definitely very useful when it comes to Pawn Cave, especially.
Now that lower gift box is a bottle rocket that a runner can pick up for a backup, just in case.
Yeah, I think there's no reason not to pick it up, and both Boogey and Glitchless. I think it's just it's just very useful. There are runners who in Boogie percent specifically will skip it, but that's more of like a PB attempt type of thing, where you want to save like the minimal time there and try and get the super PB or something like that. But in a race, if that big bottle rocket doesn't hit high enough, you're gonna be kicking yourself for not picking up that bottle rocket. And Sarah on the Skyrunner, Crimson not far behind as Taco finishing up the Tessie sequence. We're going to see Taco enter Brick Road here shortly and see what their Protoplasm and Ducks situation is. While Jimothy just having to hit these last couple story triggers, watch the show, and then head into 3 themselves. Oh, Jimothy trying to walk diagonally, but you have to walk up into that wall and then hard right. And unfortunately, getting the photo trigger right in front of the door there. It will make exiting a lot easier. You don't have to worry about walking any fancy way. You can just walk wherever you want now because the photo trigger is gone. And Taco getting through that first proto relatively unscathed. Looks like they got hit once. Just fantastic. They can skip healing themselves here if they want to. And it looks like he might. And he's just going to fight the duck. Yeah, so the duck has a lot of moves where he's not hitting you. It doesn't mean that you can't randomly get, you know, what some runners will call like Hulk Duck, where he just wails on you. And he hits for about 10 to 12, so with the HP that Taco had, it could have been a situation where with some bad luck, it could have gone sideways, but definitely what Taco wants to see there. Getting through that duck without an issue. They probably still have the boiled egg, I'd imagine, but going to pick up the croissant. Oh, never mind. Yeah, remember they have the boiled egg. And they're going to be going for this proto skip? No, they're just taking the fight. When you fight the duck, this
would have been aligned towards the top of that little section if going for that.
Yeah.
And sometimes going for that can backfire if Bubble Monkey decides to just stop right there.
Yeah, it's random whether or not he stops. It's just something that's generally worth going for. But if you've never done it before, you might think, oh, I don't know how to do this. But it is easier than you think. You just have to line up with the top, and then you walk directly left, and as soon as the present aggro is onto you, you walk down and left. And as long as Bubble Monkey complies, you should be able to skip it. But Serra here finishing their Skyrunner cutscene, and they're going to be heading towards Boogey Tent here shortly.
Coming out of that northern graveyard, the gift box that's by the hint shop, well, it's a trash can, but it has the same purpose, gives you a teddy bear, so it adds one extra layer of safety.
Yeah, but Serra actually skipping the teddy bear here feels that they have enough safety with fire and their current situation. And more often than not, this will go in your favor. Defense spray is exactly what you want to see. See how much this big bottle rocket hits for. 514. Boogey Tent has a little bit under 600 HP, so a fire and a rockin' from... or just the bottle rocket should close it out here. And that is a GG on Serra's end. They're going to be finishing here probably with like a high 112, something like that. They just got to get through this level up sequence. As soon as they pick up the fly honey, that is when the timer will stop. But GG's to Serra. That does secure their victory versus Jimothy here of the first race of this quad. And now Crimson, not far behind, slowly approaching their boogie fight to see how this goes.
There's a lot of level ups here worth noting.
Pale green light, another empty. As long as you're not getting hit, that's basically what you want to see. 361 on the low end. That's why we're seeing the rockin', and then the freeze is mostly for the solidify chance, because the freeze doesn't do much damage. But if you solidify the Boogey Tent, then he can't take his turn, which is advantageous. And we got it. So this should be 2 more rockins based on the damage, depending on what these rockins do anyway. But never mind, it's just 1. I'm bad at it.
Enough.
Yeah, it was just enough, and that's a GG for Crimsongreen. Crimsongreen is going to take the W over Lord Taco, but Lord Taco definitely kept this competitive. Unfortunately, I think it seems they died in Pawn Cave, which is unfortunate, but really, like, I still think a fairly close race between them. Taco still hasn't finished yet, so we'll see what their end time is going to be. But Crimsongreen probably going to finish here with, what are they at? Paul is still gaining levels, maybe a low 114. Because I misjudged what Serra's going to be. Serra's was a mid 112, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
Upper 113, maybe?
Yeah, they're mashing fast enough for it, for sure. Yeah, my sense of time is all off. Definitely the upper 113, as you mentioned. and that is a GG for Crimson. So we have
Yep.
the result of both races, but I definitely expect to see both these runners finish this out, especially when it comes. You want to get as best an average time as you can get, so you want to finish your runs as much as possible if you can. No shame in not finishing though. Sometimes you just get beaten up by Earthbound, and it's no fun.
Although now our two finish runners are about to try and be beaten up by something else known as the tent glitch.
Yeah, so they've squeezed themselves into this little hole here, and what they're actually doing here is they're checking outside of the bounds of the actual map. So they're sort of checking into like random memory right now. And as you can see on Crimson's screen, this brings up garbage text sometimes.
Not just garbage text can come up, this can actually teleport you to other parts of the game. As
Yeah, it can.
mentioned in chat, it can send you to the Lost Underworld. I saw a video on Twitter where somebody went right to the yellow submarine cutscene.
Yeah, so it pulls up random stuff in memory, and there's text. It pulling up random text. The way the game handles that stuff is that in text there are like warp codes and stuff like that, things that activate certain things for cutscenes and stuff like that. So that involves teleporting to certain places like that, and all that stuff. So it can send you to basically any cutscene, really. If you were to happen to luck out on the random memory it pulled. We've seen it pull up the debug menu, which is very rare from this particular spot. You can do it in .NET with some certainty, although there's still some RNG involved in getting to the point where you can make it guaranteed. Yeah,
Jimothy about to be starting winters in the next minute or so.
yeah, it's getting captured here. And Taco finishing up their pawn cave. They're going to be getting into the Skyrunner shortly, and then we'll get to see their boogie tent fight thereafter.
Now, one of the things that can happen with Boogey Tent Glitch, which I should mention, because somebody I know beat the game, then they loaded up an older save file to just do the tent glitch. They wound up deleting their save data.
Yeah, I can delete all your save data, and the game will come up with a message like, "I'm kind of sorry about that, dog, but I deleted all your save data. Hope that isn't a problem. Bye."
Here's a thing that can happen on Lord Taco's end where the fourth wall gets destroyed. This Dr. Andonis yells at you to hit the button on the controller.
Yeah, you do have to hit the button. If you don't, he's like, "Hey, you should do that."
But there are times in this game, and this is a thing I love in gaming in general, is that it'll just destroy the fourth wall. And I love it when games do that. It's a nice little thing to chuckle about.
Earthbound does it a handful of times. When Tony calls you to do the player name, he addresses you as you, the one holding the controller there. So another fourth wall break there. Earthbound's real good about that. Very quirky, and part of the reason it's loved so much.
Yeah, a lot of times what I've seen with the speed runs and the randomizers is that turns into a point for runners to meme. I know I've done that a few times myself.
Yeah, I think everyone has to some extent, especially like a randomizer. Right, so Taco Skyrunner entering 3 now is going to do 2 flybys, or does 1 flyby and then has to fly above the graveyard before it crashes down. But that's all that's in the way of this cutscene before they fight Boogey Tent. So I'm looking forward to seeing their finished time, because overall this has been a pretty good run. Not without its missteps,
Absolutely.
but definitely a very solid run.
Yeah, there may have been missteps, but a 3-turn fight against Titanic Ant, I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah, they also had that clean mole death warp as well. Like there's just a lot of like really sick stuff on Taco's end for sure. Oh yeah, Jimothy does not have Bubble Monkey. You do need to get Bubble Monkey to get onto Tessie.
That Jimothy, you gotta go back. Uh-oh.
And Jeff, yeah, so the thing with solo Jeff is that I don't understand it. I would love for to know more about this, but sometimes even though Jeff was very clearly walking into that dog, facing it, the game was like, oh, but you know that's a back attack dog, like that's a red swirl. You gotta be more careful.
This game has some really interesting hitbox detection in that regard in general. We see it sometimes in Ancient Cave too, where it'll look like you're not, where the game will swirl one way, yet you're clearly facing an enemy and you get a red, or it doesn't look like you got a green, but it gives you a green. It goes both ways, and I don't understand it. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if anybody else does that would like to explain it, but honestly, it's one that goes way over my head.
The red swirl thing actually doesn't come up that often in 80% because you're not taking any fights in 80%. If you take a fight, you reset for the most part. But it does feel like the game is gaslighting you pretty much. It's like you just walk into it, it's like that was definitely red, man. I mean, you could see it clear as day. I can see it clear as day. Oh, you can't see it? Are you sure? You definitely got a red swirl there. And 524 for that big bottle rocket on Taco's end, which is what you want to see. And this bottle rocket, if it hits, should be enough to close this out.
143, no doubt about it. GG, Taco.
If you get a bad spawn there, Peen, you just despawn it. And if you are already in the Cliffwogo spot, there's no way to spawn something else there. It's you're not walking the same way you walk in glitchless or boogie percent. You're walking above in any percent, so you're able to react better. And there's also a tree you can use to block a dog or a goat that might try and get the jump on you. So it's definitely just harder to get into a fight in 80% if you utilize that to your advantage. But Taco, yeah, with the GGs on Taco's end, gonna be finishing here with a 122. And I'm gonna look in the race time chat to see if they do it, but 122 51. Yes, very nice time. Their splits though say 122.49. So we count those. Now Jimothy approaching Brick Road on Tessie. Now one of the things Jimothy did mention, and I can't believe I haven't brought it up on commentary already, but Jimothy, before this race started, in more than one place, said, I guarantee you I'm getting the PB this run. They said there's no chance I don't get a PB. So they pointed to the they pointed to the stand, so to speak, or declaring a home run. So I'll be interested to know if they end up getting that PB. I mean, their splits still say they're green, so obviously they're still on PB pace.
Meanwhile, we still see text scrolling, as that's what Tent Glitch does. Is it's pulling from memory. You see that text scroll by extremely fast.
Yeah, sometimes it just loops. You just get caught in some weird garbage text loop, so that's what it seems like is on Serra's screen, just a loop of this particular garbage text over and over again.
GG Taco. I'd also
Yeah,
be very happy with that Titanic Ant fight, because anytime you can defeat Titanic Ant with 3 attacks, that's a good day in my book.
a great day. It's a fantastic day. I hate that dude. Jimothy having a pretty standard brick road here. Just duck fight going pretty well. Yeah, Carpenter wasn't bad either. Your whole happy segment was really nice.
Jimothy had the most interesting death warp of them all. Up there, Jimothy has the misfortune of Bubble Monkey not cooperating. Nothing you can do.
Yeah, he just wants to stop and look around. Unfortunately, he can start battles. But Jimothy getting through Brick Road and Pond Cave is one of the few things that stands in their way of getting back to 3. Making a nice little safety save here. Isn't necessarily required, since if you die in Pond Cave, you just get sent to right back before Brick Road. But at the very least, if you do die in Pond Cave, getting that save puts you a little bit closer, and it's less time to walk back. But I'm hoping we don't see a death here in Pond Cave. It just can happen, so making the safety save, definitely a smart play. Oh, they're fixing Bubble Monkey UI in the next patch. I can't wait. Oh, and a really nice wow, I've never seen this whole section just be completely empty in Pond Cave, that first room like that, but Jimothy showing me how it's done, saying it is possible.
RNG has to be just right, and it was just right.
Yeah, and you definitely want this first spawn plate to be empty. You could potentially, with this second little spawn area in the center, if you're confident in your stutters, you can try and go for some fancy shenanigans here. But with that first spawn, I used to stutter it back in the day, and it ended up losing me more time consistently than anything else I did. So now it is no longer on the table. But this Pond Cave, honestly, going pretty well for Jimothy. I mean, a couple times having to despawn a little bit more than you want, but getting into this third room without having to despawn too much, not too bad. They just need to hope that this next spawn plate is empty so they can get to this rope. And as I speak, and one thing to note, this is you notice how slow Bubble Monkey flies over. You want Bubble Monkey to be as close to that rope as possible when you use the pack of bubble gum. So if Bubble Monkey stops, it actually is worth it to wait for him to catch up, just because he moves so slowly when flying in the air. And that mushroom, actually, I think so. They were scared by it. I think it would have been fine, but it was one of those like big maybe question mark ones, which I don't blame Jimothy for just saying, you know what, that doesn't feel safe enough for me, so let's despawn it and get something that is very clearly gonna work. And when there's nothing up there, yeah, it works the best of all. And now Jimothy gonna be starting their own Skyrunner cutscene, and soon it'll just be Boogie Tent left, and I'm excited to see their final time, and I'm also excited to see if it is indeed a PB. Because it's a bold claim to guarantee a PB right before Boogie Percent race.
It's bold to guarantee just about anything. You want to talk about bold? It was bold for Jim Namath to guarantee that the Jets would beat the Colts in Super Bowl III, but it happened.
I don't know football that well.
And the point being is that most
It is bold.
guarantees don't work out.
They don't.
It's because I've heard folks guarantee that they're gonna win and they're gonna PB, and it blows up right in their face.
Yeah, especially with Earthbound, it just can just go so horribly. Sports object. Football.
Which was not a good week on my end, just saying.
Oh, was that not? Was the other team that lost the one you wanted to win?
Yeah, it's more of a loss and an injured quarterback. I'll leave it at that.
I see. Object-oriented sports ball.
And hey, at least my team wasn't the one who had a punt go off your protector's butt for a safety. That was actually for those who want context, butt punt. Butt pumped. Look it up. I can't talk right now. It was the butt fumble.
Oh,
now there's the butt punt. Look it up. It's actually kind of funny.
It was a lot of the word butt in quick succession. You're just like butt, buttocks, rear ends.
Yeah, I was just that's what happens when you start tripping on your words. It's like, wait, what?
Hiney punt. Damn.
Rikishi Stinkface? No, wait, that's something else.
Okay.
Well, that's one way to be the butt of the joke.
I was groaning, but that brought it back. Doing your own musical like follow up. I'm pretty sure Tukus is Yiddish, yeah. I could be wrong though.
All right, Jeff's in the party, and now all that's left for Jimothy is a Boogey Tent fight.
Yeah, using the bad key machine. Just gotta make sure this graveyard is empty, so you don't get into any unfortunate fights before Boogie Tent. And empty it is, so probably gonna be picking up this bear for safety and heading straight to Boogie Tent.
And attack slug is apparently butt spot in chat.
Use a little skip sandwich to get some added movement speed here. This actually does have two effects here because if there's a dog spawn, that dog was caught on that little cart, but if he wasn't, the extra speed probably would have gotten Jimothy to the Boogie Tent in time to start the fight, and that does remove the dog after the fight is over. So let's see how much this big bottle rocket hits for. Spewing fly honey out of the mouth. Unfortunately, it is on Jeff, so a bit of just sort of an empty turn there. This freeze could solidify though, which does guarantee, yes, that guarantees the BBR on this next turn. Nothing the Boogie Tent can do about it now. And with the added damage from these rock-ins and these freezes, this big bottle rocket doesn't have to hit for max, 483, is enough to close it out, and that's a GG for Jimothy. Their timer's still green. I don't know what their PB is. I could tune into the stream, but I want to hear it. I want to see. I just want to hear it like when Jimothy comes into chat and lets us know. But GG there. Very nice run.
So much mashing.
And the official time is 1 hour, 35 minutes, and we don't talk to the trash can. It is a 1:35:10, as I see on the split.
Yep.
And a 1:35:14 in the race time room.
Yeah, we can retime that to 1:35:10 if Jimothy wants to submit that. But very nice stuff to all four runners. Congratulations to Serra and Crimson for winning their respective races. But definitely Jimothy and lordtaco were no slouches and kept it very competitive. All great races from everybody here.
The bot doesn't have to write runners.
Yeah, the bot is
they're
pointing
still the same.
pointing to some different people right now. But it's okay.
That was last night's race.
Although that's commentary with the C is. Although that was the race last night. And Jimothy did PB. They called the PB and it did happen. So congratulations on a new PB for Jimothy. Very nice stuff. We got no raid target. No raid target. Are you sure about that?
I wonder if Andy's doing something.
Earthbound Super Series is streaming. You can raid them. Oh yeah. All my raid targets are Super Metroid runners. So not exactly in theme with Earthbound.
I have a wide variety. Let me just look at I wonder.
But yeah, that will do it for us tonight. There are no more races tonight. Join us tomorrow, though. We actually have 4 separate races happening. Well, technically tomorrow. There's another one here at 12 a.m. Although this is more on like a on the spot one that had to be scheduled like very very rapidly. So we're not sure if there's going to be a restream for that. Likely not. But if someone is up and willing to take it, there's a chance. But if you do want to check it out, it's going to be Zelda Rock Xander versus Flintstone, which is happening at midnight Eastern tonight. Technically tomorrow, because of midnight. But tomorrow we have Attack Slug versus Derek GNC at 4 p.m. Eastern. We have Hello Boing versus Shuki T at 6 p.m. Eastern. And we have Ukoid versus myself, Daniel RGT, at 9 p.m. Eastern. So there is a lot of Super Series races to come. And you definitely are not going to be short on Earthbound action, all throughout this tournament.
And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Now, this is only week 1. We've just begun. Because we've still got a few weeks of Swiss left in us. Who knows what's going to happen? It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to want to stick around and watch because you never know what you're going to see.
Might see a Crow Death Warp, which was so sick. Oh.
I do want somebody to go back and clip that because that was pretty cool.
A Crow Death Warp. It's the best. So happy Jimothy did that.
So on that note,
For our forerunners, Jimothy, Serra, lordtaco, and Crimsongreen. My co-commentary partner, Daniel RGT, and Temple on Restream, I'm Leslie Pro. Y'all have a good night. Stay kind, stay safe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.